Hey, what is up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I haven't seen you guys, honestly, in a few days. I don't think I've uploaded a video in 3 days. I haven't made a video in 5 days. But last night, SmackDown really got me fired up. I really honestly wish I could have made this video at the end of SmackDown, but I just was too beat and decided that I was going to make it today. I thought I would make it when I got to work, put it off, decided I'd make it when I went on my lunch. Honestly, it was too cold and wet outside, so here we are. I'm sitting down to make some videos tonight, and honestly, can tell you that I'm glad that I didn't make the video last night, because maybe I would have overreacted. I still am a little bit upset at the outcome of the main event match that Dolph Ziggler won. It was Dolph Ziggler, it was Luke Harper, it was Dean Ambrose and The Miz in a fatal four-way to decide who would be the next #1 contender to face AJ Styles. I honestly thought that this was going to be a #1 contender shot that was going to happen at the Royal Rumble. Sort of, taking Dean Ambrose as well as Ellsworth out of the WWE title picture. It looks like that they are killing off the Ellsworth storyline. I know that the AJ Styles injury, who did not wrestle again on SmackDown for the second week in a row, he hurt his ankle at TLC in that great match against Dean Ambrose. I don't know what the Ellsworth versus AJ Styles match on SmackDown was supposed to solve, but it is what ended up the TLC pay-per-view. It is the reason why Dean Ambrose did not win the championship. So, I'm hoping that, honestly, this is a storyline that we do get an answer to, and it just doesn't go down in the long string of, angles that were just ended and never talked about ever again. Definitely Ellsworth, who sent out a tweet today, basically saying that he was sick and that he was sent home, and that AJ Styles should thank his lucky stars, and that as soon as Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan would let him come back, that he would want his championship shot. WWE retweeted it, so I guess they endorse that tweet. But it definitely looks like Ellsworth is not going to be getting that title shot. I'm not sure if Ellsworth just wasn't on the show because they didn't have anything for him. My guess is that I don't think people really would have gone for it. Like, I don't think people really would have got behind it, because I think that the Ellsworth storyline really has lost a lot of steam to begin with. I think a lot of people knew that ending was coming at TLC, but just didn't want to see it, maybe didn't want to believe it. But honestly, in my mind, Ziggler just isn't the right direction to go, in my mind. I think that it's going to be a great match on paper, Ziggler versus AJ Styles, but the storyline that Dolph Ziggler has had this year, since the draft, since moving over to SmackDown, the land of opportunity, he was granted the #1 contendership. He moved right up to the top of the card on SmackDown, wrestled against Dean Ambrose, who he lost his shot at the WWE World Heavyweight Champion on the second to third biggest show of the year, being SummerSlam. From there, went into a program working for the Intercontinental title, where basically the storyline was that he would never be good enough to carry the ball for WWE, that he was a great wrestler but just didn't have it to cut it on the main event scene. And basically he won the title in his retirement match, but honestly, when most people will look at the Dolph Ziggler versus Miz feud of 2016 over the Intercontinental Championship, I think that honestly people will chalk it up as Dolph Ziggler lost that feud. Sometimes you win one of the matches and you win the championship, but for a guy to put his career on the line to become Intercontinental Champion and then win that title and then immediately lose it, I would say 2 to 3 weeks later, it doesn't seem like that reign really meant anything. And I know that I was really negative on the Ziggler versus Miz No Mercy match. I still am very grateful that I got to be there. It probably will be one of the really good wrestling moments from 2016 that I will remember that I was at live, because honestly, I didn't go to that many live shows this year. I went to WrestleMania weekend. I went to No Mercy, And if I went to any house shows this year, I honestly don't remember, unless they were here like in early January or something like that. I don't remember going to see that much wrestling this year. I know that NXT came here and I missed out on that. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? I don't know. To me, Ziggler versus AJ Styles, I guess it's going to happen on SmackDown. So that just means it is what it is. And maybe that it's just them crossing over the hump. I can remember being really excited in, I believe, 2010, thinking that John Morrison, who won a match to become the #1 contender to face The Miz, was going to be really cool. I thought it was going to happen at the Royal Rumble. I thought that was going to be a really big match. I had always been behind John Morrison, and for him to have a chance to become WWE Champion was huge in my book. And they ended up not using that match at the Royal Rumble. They ended up putting it on the first Raw of the year. Maybe that is just what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to... Normally, the week of Christmas, they tape those shows, so they're already be predetermined. Normally, that's why the first Raw of the year, and now with SmackDown being live, my guess is that the first SmackDown of the year is going to have to be a big one as well. Unless this is like a 2-week program where they have a false finish, a lot like they did with the WWE Championship match this year with the draft, where it was on Raw, the last opportunity to see Rollins versus Ambrose. Then they had that false finish and said that, hey, we're going to do the rematch on SmackDown tomorrow to give people more than a reason than just the draft to watch that show. I guess that's, maybe something that they could do to try and, not only help the December 27th edition of SmackDown, but maybe help the first SmackDown of the new year going into the Royal Rumble. Honestly, in my mind, I will never pick Dolph Ziggler to win a big match. I know that when he's on a pay-per-view or on a show, I know that there's a chance that he can have a great match, but it's not something that I'm ever really going to get behind. Dolph Ziggler couldn't even handle being Intercontinental Champion. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no way in the world he's going to beat AJ Styles to become WWE Champion. In my book, I'm guessing that John Cena is going to win the Rumble, and then John Cena winning the Rumble means that he's going to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Maybe that's where John Cena will beat AJ Styles for his 16th championship. He'll, get the payback, those losses from SummerSlam, as well as whatever other show it was that he went one-on-one with John Cena. I can't remember what the other one was. But, I just don't think that Ziggler versus AJ, even though it sounds like it's going to be a great match, is going to be anything that people are going to really get behind because of how much they've killed off Dolph Ziggler throughout his entire year, but especially here in 2016 with him. Before the draft, he's in a feud against Baron Corbin. It's very obvious that the feud is to get over Baron Corbin to the point where they can make the guy on the main roster coming out of NXT. Corbin wins that feud. Then somehow in the middle of nowhere, Ziggler becomes #1 contender. Because he's #1 contender, he fights at SummerSlam. He loses. He loses a match to The Miz. I think he lost another match to The Miz and then put his career on the line, wins that match, but then immediately loses on SmackDown. He loses the championship back to The Miz. And then he's just floating around and then just miraculously becomes the #1 contender. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm hoping that it's big, but honestly, in my mind, AJ's got to get the win, and we're just going to go into the Rumble, try and see what goes on with WrestleMania, and I don't think Dolph Ziggler plays in any of that.